Hello and welcome to another edition of positivebritain.co.uk. Today we're going to be discussing what are the advantages to Britain post-Brexit. In a couple of days' time, we will be coming out of the European Union on the 31st of January. So what's going to happen after that? What are the advantages? What are the types of things we're having to look for? And how are we going to be in the future? So I'm joined by Buky Olufemi and Michael Spooner. And so really we're going to discuss what are the dynamics of how this whole project is going to work. So Michael, first of all, what are the first things that you want to see as a business consultant and an expert in business for business after the 31st of January?
Thanks, Ian. What I want, well, first we know there's still some uncertainty about the trade deal, so we want Prime Minister Johnson to secure a basic regulatory aligned trade deal with Europe, or we know there's some controversy about whether we're going to get regulatory alignment. So we want some kind of, certainly an aligned deal with Europe for business. He's going to have to deal with some of the tricky issues around financial services, which is about 10% of our service economy, and whether they're going to get passporting rights to trade financial products in Europe. So we're going to want some of that dealt with. And I think a tricky issue around fisheries, some of the Brexit type trigger issues that came up in the whole debate for the last 3.5 years, is whether we're going to have control over our waters around this country. So,
pardon the pun. I mean,
yes.
Do you think we're going to be sold down the river in fisheries? Because it's something again that we need other trade assurances.
Yeah, they're going to have to do a deal, or certainly balance or negotiate, because I think France is trying to say that they want access to our waters if we're to get passporting rights for financial services. So there is some kind of negotiation going to happen there. But I think the trade deal is going to be basic, Ian. It's going to be a basic cut and thrush, simple deal that's going to assist. And what the government's trying to do is leave the door open to having a deal with America, so they can't tie ourselves too much into Europe because they're not necessarily compatible. So I think so for businesses, and you got people like the CBI, Federations of Small Businesses, and many other organisations, Institute of Directors, are all saying that they want a simple framework trade deal that allows us to trade with Europe, allows us to bring people over. There's an issue around the £30,000 amount of money you need to have to come immigration to come into the country. They're going to reduce that to £26,000, which is going to allow slightly more people in. So we want to be flexible around immigration as well from the European Union. We've got to keep our diversity. Particularly London is a diverse capital and needs to draw in the right talent and capabilities and skills. And I think Britain is going to now have to move away from big manufacturing, not so worried about doing a deal with China and that kind of stuff. And we're going to have to start to be a country of niche players, specialist players, and play to our strengths as a country. We've got many strengths that we major in: artificial intelligence, technology, consultancy, financial services, law, education. We are world beaters in these areas, and we need to start to major in those areas.
Okay,
that's what we
so
need.
Buky, as a younger person, what are you seeking? What type of assurances are you looking for? What type of things do you want to see happening? For me, I worry about is there going to be so much flexibility for people of your age to go into Europe and work, and vice versa?
For me, that's a really big one. We touched on the fact that we need to be able to continue to be just strong traders. London is known as capital for trading, and I think we need to uphold that in itself. I think another big one that we can't overlook is immigration. If you look at our NHS, and that's what matters, these are are pillars of society. You know, you've got doctors, you've got nurses, a lot of them are from abroad. So there needs to be an open channel where it's easy for people to come in and out, and so that we get the talent that we do need. A lot of our nurses and doctors, they are from abroad. We need them. It's you know, they are the staples, the pillars, if you will, of society. So looking at the NHS, the education system, all of these, being a multicultural society, it means that those that do work from us from abroad, they need access in terms of visas. What's going to happen on that front, that needs to be taken care of. Yeah.
And are you worried about the future, you know, for people like yourself? Do you see the advantages to Brexit as well, or you know, or?
I think we need to look forward now. It's a done deal. So it's working with what we've got to make sure we continue to be, you know, London itself, the capital, a lot of people look to us. We are leading in terms of business. So it's about building on our strengths and holding our own, if you will, and making sure the channels, education, trade on the trading front, on the immigration front, and also it's looking to be more specialist as well. So, you know, we have to think about on enterprises as well. A lot of businesses are online, so making sure that there isn't fines and charges online for businesses as well, and it's all very accessible to continue to uphold us. And
you specialise, I know, in a lot of entertainment industries as well. Will it affect the entertainment industry, do you think, at all?
Definitely. So I know not a big problem, but you know, there are artists, even American artists, and they always come up with things like immigration and getting into the country. You know, one or two have been banned from coming into the country for one reason or another, whether it's you know, for one reason or another. So it's just making sure that there's revolving doors, people can access it easily, and we don't become a bubble or a pond that nobody can access.
And Michael, obviously, you know, we've been just touching on the fact of visas, and I noticed that you know, the original you know, 30,000 rule, that's been kicked into the long grass because there's some commission now looking at this whole thing.
Yes.
They're looking at fast track visas for both medical and for skill bases as well.
That's right. Tier 1 and Tier 2 they call it.
And there's been a tremendous change because from the skill base, as I understand it, if you have the right skill, you don't even have to have a job now to come into the country. So do you think British business will value these types of extra skill bases?
I think what I think Prime Minister Johnson is really focused on, and clearly there's some tension in government because, of course, when he was campaigning, he was very strong on immigration as a trigger, you know, in terms of Brexit. But now the realities of government, excuse me, he has to actually allow flexibility around bringing in talent. So certainly people from the Commonwealth countries like Canada can still come and work for 2 years and get a work visa. Those things are going to continue. Specialists, Tier 1, you know, basically trades or skills that we have a shortage of, like nursing, they'll still be able to come. I think that's going to continue. But it's really it's really businesses where a company wants to sponsor a person. Say I've got a worker who's in France or a worker who's in Hungary, and I want to bring that person in. It may well become slightly more difficult for me to sponsor them as a private company. Might be more expensive for me to sponsor them in coming in. And of course, we also have to settle the 3.6 million Europeans that live in Britain. They need to get settled status. That needs to be sorted out, and that needs to be part of the trade deal. It's not been resolved in the withdrawal agreement, and the question is, Ian, is it going to be settled in this kind of trade deal? So we need to make sure that they have settled status. That I think they've got to put in their applications by December 2020 or 2021 or something like that.
How do you feel, though? I mean, obviously the leisure industry at the moment and the hospitality industry. may be severely affected, and a lot of hoteliers,
Exactly,
restaurants, and so forth are very worried about maintaining their staff.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, is that a concern as well?
Yeah, I think, well, I mean, hospitality, tourism, obviously retail are growth areas for the economy. They are big employers. We do need to keep a steady flow of people.
Do you think we're a nation of shopkeepers anymore?
Shopkeepers, more like shopkeepers, online shopkeepers we are, it seems now. 25%, 30% of our sales are now online. So we are still shopkeepers, we are still traders. We are still great business, global business and traders, and innovators particularly. Britain is still a leading country around innovation. A lot of things that we take for granted, if you look into the history of the innovation, it was invented over here, whether it's your internet, whether it's your mobile phone, whether it's the computer. A lot of the things that you take for granted were invented here. We are still an industrial innovation nation. The question is, are we going to sustain that as we go forward? Or are we going to be crushed by, we're sandwiched between Europe and America, and we're the meat in the sandwich, Ian. Are we going to get squashed together between two, big continents, Europe and America? And we need to equidistance, do something about straddling the Atlantic between America and Europe and getting the best out of that relationship.
Okay, excellent. So, Buky, does that work in the entertainment industry's benefit? If there's stronger links with America, do you think we'll see a lot more Americans coming over here? Do you think there'll be, because obviously we have a very powerful entertainment industry of our own in Britain as well.
That's right.
But will that work, do you think, because a lot of entertainers at times find it very hard to break into the American marketplace. Do you think this is going to help?
Yes, definitely. I think what we need to do is focus on ourselves first, because we're quite sought after in our own right. And I think making sure that those that are here already, focusing on the word multicultural, those that are here already are able to come and go as they please. And in doing so and nourishing and taking care of ourselves, I think it attracts, it creates more demand for us as a capital and for those to come over to us. So yes, working with America, it's great, but we're not followers. We're definitely not followers, and we're leaders. But allowing us to be able to maneuver back and forth, that's always helpful.
So finally, because it is a thorny question, how do you unite the country? For me, I still don't think the country is united at all. I still think there's two camps. And I think the Remainers camp is very bitter, potentially over what's happening right now, and that's why we created Positive Britain in the first place, is to try and be a healer and try and find ways of actually bringing communities together. So, Michael, first of all, can I ask you, how do you think we can actually heal and help Britain and bring it back together again?
Yeah, well, Ian, I think in Positive Britain, the work we're doing is, I want us to focus on some core British values around, like Buky talks about, multicultural. We're a diverse, inclusive nation, and we need to focus on those things. We judge ourselves on the rule of law and human rights and a fair society, and so we need to focus on British values. This is something that we haven't done enough work on establishing what that means and what those British values are. But I think bringing us together is that we're one nation, and there's lots of common things that we agree on. We just don't talk about the things we agree on. We talk about the things we disagree on. And I think we need to shift that emphasis to focusing on what we agree on, what works for Scotland, Northern Ireland and Wales and England. And then there's lots of commonality. We're still a European country. Britain hasn't been pushed away in the ocean simply because we're Brexiting. We're still part of Europe, and we still have this relationship with United States of America. So those are the things that I think we need to focus on what we agree on, focus on the strengths of this country. We're still innovators, we're still an industrial giant globally. People still look to Britain for safety. Many people come here because they're fleeing persecution somewhere else. Whether it's our Jewish people in the past, or whether it's the people from the African subcontinent, or the Indian subcontinent, or Pakistan, or the Middle East. Many of them came here for make a life for themselves and their family, but also because they're coming out of a country that is unstable. This is a very stable nation, and we've got a lot to feel thank you for. We've got a lot to be grateful for, and so I think we've got strengths that we need to focus on, that common area, and not the bits of problems we got, because I think all the problems we have really are solvable over time.
Okay, so Buky, what do you think? How do you think young people? Do you find young people really in either side camps? Are they really now wanting to get forward in their lives? Is there unity amongst people of your age group?
Yes, definitely. I think, I think the key word is unity. I think the younger generation, they evolve, and I think they are over what the decision is, and I think they've made their own plans. I think, as Michael said, we need to, there's common ground within all of us. Yes, there's a lot of differences, but there's also things that unite us, and I think it's about remembering British values and just leading, with best foot forward, and just remembering, we are a sought after nation. A lot of people look to us. So, and on the business front, and for the entrepreneurs in that generation, they are moving forward on the many different platforms and the many different businesses and industries, and they're looking for ways to establish themselves within those areas. So they're not sat down, and they're not wallowing, and they're not better. I think they're moving forward. I think the key word is democracy, and I think we're able to work with what we got and definitely power forward.
Yeah, good.
Thank you so much, the two of you, for that again.
Thank you.
As you can see, it's a subject that's going to go on and on and on, all the way through 2020 now. Obviously, we have this transition period now till the end of December 2020 as well, when trade talks are sort of happening at the moment. So no doubt we will all be speaking more on positivebritain.co.uk about this subject.
Yes.
Can I thank Buky and Michael for again peering on and giving your great words of wisdom. Thank you for the tours.
Thank you.
So good to sort of, hopefully you are enjoying these types of discussions right now, and it helps. Any issues that you face, please go on to our website, positivebritain.co.uk, and you can contact us from there. So thank you so much for watching this, and goodbye for now.